of the sun. Our story's not over, it's just begun. From Timbuktu to the streets of Soweto, Africa speaks and the world must echo. Strength of Africa, we stand tall. In our clan, the truth, we break the wall. Up from the roots to the skies, we rise again. This is our voice, let the world hear it. Strength of Africa TV.
Hello and welcome. You are tuned into the podcast of Strength of Africa TV. I'm your host, Adebayo Oladokun, and I'm honored to welcome you to this brand new journey. This is more than just a podcast. I can tell you, it is a reconnection between Africa and our children across oceans, across generations, and across identities. Whether you were born on the continent of Africa, raised in the diaspora, or are just discovering your African roots, this space is for you. Here, we explore culture, history, identity, power, legacy, and truth, all from an unapologetically African-centered perspective. Each week, you can expect real conversations, practical insights, and thought-provoking topics that challenge the status quo and inspire action. We will talk about raising conscious African children, building generational legacy, unlearning colonial mindsets, and celebrating the brilliance of Africa, past, present, and future. So if you're ready to reclaim your story, to restore your pride, and to rebuild your connection to the continent, you are in the right place. Welcome to Strength of Africa TV, where we stay rooted, where we stay proud, and where we stay African. Now, what if the story you've heard about Africa was only half the truth? Because they showed war, but not the wisdom. They showed struggle, but not the strength. Africa is not broken. Africa is rising. And this is Strength of Africa TV. And this is where we set the record straight, unfiltered, proud, powerful, Africa like we've never seen or heard before. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are right now. I welcome you all to Strength of Africa TV, where we celebrate the beauty, the passion, and the resilience of Africa and Africans. I'm your host, Adebayo Oladokun, and I can emphatically tell you that this is not just another podcast. This is a movement. This is a calling. And this is our opening episode. And this episode is titled Africa, the Story We Were Never Told. Sit down and buckle up. For far too long, Africa has been boxed in, painted with a narrow brush. War, poverty, corruption, sovereign. But those are not our defining features. They are distortions, not destinies. And I believe people of like mind will agree with me. Let's call out the old narratives and tell ourselves the truth. They said Africa is a dark continent, uncivilized, without history. But from the great pyramids of Giza to the mighty walls of Benin, to the mathematical genius of Dogon people, to the University of Al-Qarawiyyin, the oldest recognized existing degree-granting university by UNESCO and Guinness World Records, Africa has always been a beacon of brilliance. We are the descendants of the builders of Timbuktu, where thousands of ancient manuscripts once shaped global thought were kept and preserved. We are the heirs of Queen Nziga, Mansa Musa, Shaka Zulu, and Haile Selassie, kings and queens who ruled with vision and power. They said Africans can't govern themselves, that democracy and leadership don't belong in Africa. But look to the legacy of Nelson Mandela, the leadership of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and the youthful energy of Bogolo Kenewendo, a Botswana economist and political leader known for impressive achievements at a young age. Look to the activists like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, truth tellers like Anas Arimayo Anas, and movement builders like Julius Malema, who challenged the system and shaped the future. We are not just voters, we are visionaries and vanguards of change. They said Africa depends on foreign aid, but that story silences our champions of industry. Tech giants like Inyoluwa Aboyeji, creators like Temigiwa Tubosun, and moguls like Aliko Dangote, who built empires from African soil in fintech, in fashion, in agriculture, and in renewable energy. African entrepreneurs are not just surviving, they are leading. From Flutterwave to M-Pesa, Africa is exporting innovation. They showed us only hurt and hunger, but skipped the glass towers of Kigali, the tech labs of Cape Town, the jazz clubs of Addis Ababa, and the fashion runways of Lagos and Johannesburg. They erased the beauty of the Drakensberg Mountains, the serenity of Lake Victoria, the sacred power of Ifa, and the Nile Valley civilizations. Those old headlines told a story of lack, but we've always been full of rhythm, art, languages, and life. So when I say Africa is not broken, I mean it. Africa is not a charity case. We are creators, not consumers. Africa is not a mystery. We are documented, known, rooted, and rising. Africa is a force. We are a continent of over 1.4 billion people, 54 nations, thousands of cultures, 2,000 languages. And what binds us together? The strength, the beauty, the resilience, which this channel is projecting. This is why this podcast exists. This is where we flipped the script and tell our story, not as victims, but as visionaries. Let me properly introduce myself again. I am Adebayo Oladokun, a proud African, an African who grew up watching Africa from two lenses. One lens told me we were poor, we were backwards, we were broken. But that lens was cracked. It wasn't built for truth. It was built for pity. It was built for control. It was built for propaganda. And what about the other lens? The other lens showed me royalty, ingenuity, culture, spirituality, and pride. The Africa they never showed on the news. The Africa they never taught in school. The Africa of Sheikh Anta Diop and Wangari Maathai. The Africa of Fela Kuti. The Africa of Iya Asantewa and the Africa of Steve Biko. The Africa that invented, that led, that inspired. That's the Africa I know. And that's the Africa you will hear on this show. Strength of Africa TV is a platform with purpose. And here's what you can expect going forward. Expect real stories from real Africans. Deep dives into culture, tradition, history, voices from the diaspora, unfiltered truth, and inspiration. Because Africa is rising. We will hear from Africans at home and abroad, building, thriving, and evolving. We will challenge the lies. We will call out the myths, like the idea that Africa is a place to escape or a place to save. We will celebrate the truth that Africa is a place to return to invest in, to honor, and most of all, we will inspire. Because Africa is not just a landmass. Africa is not just a birthplace. It is a spirit. Africa is a force. Africa is a way of life. And it deserves to be celebrated, just like we're doing in this channel. This podcast is for Africans on the continent, Africans in the diaspora, and anyone hungry for the real story. If you've never set your foot in Africa, but you know you've only heard one side of the story, this is for you too. Our arms are wide open. This platform is a bridge between home and abroad, truth and myth, who we are and who we were told we are. We are not just surviving, we are thriving. We are building businesses, we are exporting culture, and we are changing the game. And still, we are grounded in our roots. From Kente to Kanga, from Afrobeat to Amapiano, from Oromo to Yoruba to Zulu. So the question is, why now? Why now? Because this is Africa's moment. And if you don't tell our story, someone else will. And they will get it all wrong. Not on our watch, because the world is watching. We must speak. We must lead the conversation. Strength of Africa TV is not just a podcast, like I said earlier. It is a platform. It is a celebration, and it's a homecoming. Africa is not a charity case. Africa is a powerhouse, and we are done waiting. We are telling our story ourselves. So buckle up, because this is only the beginning. We are connecting the global African voices and lifting African up. So before I wrap up this first episode, if you have ever felt like your African identity was a burden, remember this. That identity is a badge of honor, because you come from greatness. Your story didn't begin with colonization and slavery, and it won't end with struggle. To every African in the diaspora, to every curious mind drawn to this continent, to every child raised on stories that never spoke of our glory, you are welcome here. You are seen. You are at home. We are not what the world painted us to be. We are what we've always been. We are powerful, we are proud, and we are unbreakable. So join the movement, and thank you for tuning to Strength of Africa TV. If today's truth stirred something in you, please share it, speak it, stand on it. Subscribe to Strength of Africa TV on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Deezer. Like our videos. Share them with friends and family. Drop a comment. We want to hear your voice. Follow us for more truth, more pride, and more power, because the future belongs to those who know where they come from. Let's take back our narrative. Let's build this bridge together. Africa is speaking, and the world must listen. I am Adebayo Oladokun, and this is Strength of Africa TV, reclaiming the narrative, restoring the pride, reshaping the future. Until next time, stay rooted, stay bold, stay African. And thank you for watching. Bye for now.
Of Africa, we stand strong. In our the truth, we break the wall.